Hi, my name is Brian Quintero from Binghamton University. This is my opening speech for the opposition of the resolution. This House believes that the borders of nation-states should not prevent the movement of refugees. The security and protection of a country's citizens should be prioritized over the security of foreigners. While President Obama voiced for more support over the refugee conflict, the United States government has now taken a different stance on the situation by prioritizing safety for its civilians and not allowing possible threats from refugees to take place. This can be observed through the recent executive order President Trump signed into action. Furthermore, an influx of refugees can be harmful and exacerbate the economy through negative externalities and differing economic conditions. Lastly, with the leadership of the U.S. government showing stricter actions towards refugees, it is clear that the resolution should be rejected and not allow the movement of refugees between the borders of nation-states. Before going into the opposition's opening, it is first important to identify a refugee and a nation-state. According to Merriam-Webster, a refugee is a person who flees to a foreign country or power to escape danger or persecution, and a nation-state is a form of political organization under which a relatively homogeneous people inhabits foreign state. Now, with these definitions, we're able to further analyze the opposition's argument. Contention 1. Security threat and dangers. It is a priority for the U.S. and the nation-states to protect those living within it. By allowing refugees to flow into the country from nations facing civil wars, political repressions, and regime changes, we are faced with the unknown of possible threats and dangers that can arise. According to Laura Hollis, a woman in Massachusetts was gang raped and her boyfriend was beaten by 4 illegal immigrants from Guatemala. By leaving the borders open, we're allowing for danger to spread and for practices to increase the risk of attacks and threats. Furthermore, with improper background checks, we're even unsure of the people we're letting enter into our country and therefore should be more careful with their movement. Contention 2. Economic benefits. Allowing the movement of refugees between nation-states is harmful to the national economy. By allowing the movement of refugees, labor supply and economic competition decreases with the increase of refugees entering nation-states. Not only is this exacerbating the economy, but negative externalities and differing economic conditions are also harmful to the national economy. According to Salahian and Gledish, refugees compete with their locals over scarce resources such as employment or housing. This constitutes an economic threat for civilians through its increased competition and depressing wages. These conflicts can lead to a decline in living standards for those who are usually in competition with immigrants. Contention 3. Government leadership. The proposition aims to affirm the resolution by allowing refugees free movement through the borders of nation-states. However, with President Trump's recent executive order, the leadership of our country aims at protecting its own people over the possible threats that may come with refugees. This even comes at the cost of keeping refugees out, as the executive order suspended the United States Refugee Admissions Program. Furthermore, according to Sangupta, in the Obama administration's last appearance before the United Nations General Assembly, President Obama called for leaders to uplift the lives of refugees and double the number of slots available for permanent resettlement for refugees. Now, this came under criticism from European diplomats, as the United States has resettled merely 10,000 Syrian refugees compared to 500,000 refugees in Germany. With this criticism, further validating the U.S.'s lack of effort over the refugee conflict, this House should not control the borders of nation-states, but be in the control of the states themselves to close their borders freely from refugees for the safety of its citizens. In conclusion, the priority of a country lays in the safety of its people. The main opposition arises with the intention to avoid and prevent the possible attacks, threats, and practices to travel and spread within the country. Furthermore, not preventing the movement of refugees causes a decrease in the national economy, with competition increasing in states and conflicting economic conditions to form. Lastly, as of recently, it is clear that President Trump has a specific stance regarding refugee conflicts. Therefore, the House should be unable to dictate nation states' rights to prevent the movement of refugees into their borders. Thank you.